Folks, those of you that are here early, we are 1 minute away before starting. My name is Paul Rinken. Welcome to today's Tech Talk Thursday on Wednesday. And I'll tell you why just now, why it is such a complicated process. But yeah, as people are coming in, we're not going to get running too soon. Let's just get a bit of our technical stuff sorted out here. See there are numbers coming through now, which is great. So it's bang on 3 o'clock in KZN, and I've got to work out what day it is because we normally have Tech Talk on a Thursday. We've tried to keep it on a Thursday to get a bit of a routine going, but unfortunately fortunately, we've got a whole string of training sessions that are happening on Tuesdays and Thursdays going forward, and we thought this was so important we wanted to squeeze it in and not put it in the schedule. So this is Tech Talk on Thursday, actually on Wednesday today. You're going to enjoy the session. We've got some real interesting information to bring through to you. If I run through the details, let me just put them up there so you can see. We're going to be talking about online safety and particularly child online safety. So that's what we're going to be talking about just now. Let me just go through some of the details for those of you that are familiar with the process. There are our provincial managers' contact details. Please get hold of them wherever you may be. Throughout the country, we have got provincial managers. Vat asseblief hulle nommers af sodat julle hulle kan kontak met hulle kom reg deur die land van Gauteng tot by die Weskaap. En daar heel onder is Riaan van der Bergh se besonderhede. Hy is ons bestuurder in die Sentrum vir Tegnologie. Hy is beskikbaar. Hy is 'n bietjie besig vandag, maar ons sal hom later in hande kry. Hy sal later aan boord kom hierso. So with that as an intro, I'm just going to go through some of these details and I'm going to hand over to Riaan just to take through some of these processes and just to discuss where we sit with the Centre of Technology and where we go there. Riaan, welcome on board and thank you for stopping on the side of the road.
Yes, I'm somewhere between Bella and Pretoria. I had a meeting in Polokwane with the Department of Education and it was a technology-related meeting because it's looking at online admissions in Polokwane in Limpopo for the next year. So the beauty of our online and connected world is that wherever we go, our office is, and if we have a device, we get the benefit of that. But yeah, to jump into today's topic, Paul is going to share my slides for me. The Centre for Technology has a strong message this year, and we want to keep reiterating it because everything that we do somehow fits into it. This year, we keep saying, this is how we roll. Once again, we just got to be natural in what we do, not be in emergency mode. I think we're so accustomed to being surprised that it still surprised me when people are very surprised. And there's a truck driving by while I'm stationary. The second point is that everything in the market that pertains to technology would not be for all schools. And I think we've got to be happy with that and not discard it because it's not for everyone. And at the same time, everything at a school is not for all learners. And I said it week after week. That's why we might have something like coding and robotics. That's why we might have something like choir and rugby because not everyone participates, but enough people do, so we keep going with it. Over the past few years, we've been saying learn as we live, and it's just becoming more and more relevant. Dit word so deel van ons lewe dat ons hier sit ek in die kar halfpad tussen Pretoria en Polokwane en ons kan besigheid doen. Ons moet so begin leef in ons skoolomgewing. Learn as we live in the education space as well. Teach, manage and govern as we live. And for today, we've got to say live as we live. Our online life. Living online as we live in the physical and specifically with safety. We are very aware of it. So yeah, we're going to be talking with that in the background. My little intro to today's session is I want to frame it in a sense of online safety is a paradox. When I talk to some parents, they say, but you can't be online and safe, but then you can't be in Gauteng and be safe because we know it's the gangster's paradise. So safety is a societal issue. It's not a technology issue. We've got to really work with what we have. I'm trying to move Paul out of my screen there. It's a societal issue. It's not a tech issue. So we've got to think safety and not think technology. The second point is safety is not in moving away from the problem. Online, technology, digital, electronic is here to stay. So we can easily say the safest place for online safety is to not be online, but that doesn't work. We know that. We can't fight that big wave. The third point that we want to make there is that today's discussion is on online safety with a project. So it's for all schools. And I know we're going to be talking about the project, which is for primary schools to participate in, but we would love high schools to also engage in this process of thinking about it, talking about it, and even taking hands with the primary school in doing it. And then the last point I want to make before we introduce Josh is I don't think anyone in South Africa is unaware of safety and security in the physical. So I want to challenge you. If you've got an alarm system, a tracking device in your car, a remote control, even an app that turns your alarm on and off at home, a gate, a lock, a key, a fence, we know what to do with safety and security in the physical. So let's empower ourselves or equip ourselves with the thinking of getting there. So with that being said, Josh, we're going to lead in today. We're really proud to be part of this movement, this project, and this initiative to change the future of online safety for our children. So I'm going to hand over to Josh and the rest of the team. Have a great session with us. Josh, I'm going to ask you to introduce a little bit more of yourself, but I met Josh online. He's a TEDx speaker, brilliant speaker, and has a great story, a personal story to tell. So Josh, over to you, and thank you. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you so much, Riaan and Paul and Jaco and the rest of the FEDSAS team. It's wonderful to be here, and I'm so enjoying the conversations we've been sharing and the numerous ideas we have to bring child online safety into the FEDSAS member group. And today will hopefully just be the start of a very long conversation that we share together. I just want to make sure with Paul's thumbs up that I'm sharing the right screen. We were double checking all of these technology things just in the lead up, and we got a 100%. Thumbs up there. So we're off. Thank you again so much for having me. A little bit about Be in Touch is that we started this organization with my business partner, Kate Farina, who's in the chat answering any questions you have there. And she is the mum to a 10 and 12-year-old. And I just recently became a dad after years of trying, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And basically, we came together to do something about the child online safety situation. Kate from the perspective as a mother, concerned mother, and myself as someone that was exposed to pornography very young and then developed a compulsive digital media and substance habit, which was definitely not helping me advance in my life. So we work with schools, with families, NGOs and brands to educate, connect, and protect South Africa's most valuable resource. As you all know as educators, it's the children. That's why we're all here. And it's an important one to keep in mind when things get all complicated with technology, is who is at the center of the innovation, who is at the center of the webinar, and all the effort is the child. And as long as we keep focused there, then we have the courage to step out and do what we need to do to protect them. You can put questions into the chat at any point, and Kate will make sure that they are addressed and links are shared there. We will share the entire slide deck with you, so don't be scrambling for notes, rather pay attention and ask good questions. And as Riaan said, this discussion is for all schools, all ages, and the stats that we'll be sharing will be relevant to high schools. However, the fundraising opportunity is aimed at primary schools, but will need the support of secondary schools, especially when we get into the educational materials on artificial intelligence and what in essence will be powering the future of child online safety. So we are here to talk about challenges, but we are equally here to talk about solutions and opportunities. We've all been scared by talks and things in the past, and we are now looking for solutions. So we're going to be looking at some of the challenges that we face as schools, the data that we're collecting from schools that we work with, and why it's important to understand the data in your schools, the information from the students themselves. Then we're going to look at some solutions, practical ones. What can you do tomorrow in terms of your school environment, in terms of your parents? And then we're going to look at this opportunity, which is this very interesting fundraiser / educational campaign / do good change pivot moment in South Africa's landscape. And so we look forward to sharing all three of those aspects of this talk with you. Now, for you to really understand primarily that this data that we have got from schools is in the 4 topics that are on the screen. And these are the 4 topics that we like to simplify some of the areas of concern for our schools and our parents. We talk about device access and management in the home, and we're going to be talking about roles and responsibilities when it comes to parents and teachers, or schools and families. And it's an important one for parents to understand, because often it's the teachers and schools that get handed all of the responsibility to monitor and manage the child's device use. And that's not the best person to be doing it. So then we're also going to be looking at cyberbullying, then pornography, self-harm, drugs and alcohol, adult content, and then of course stranger contact, the worst of the lot, or potentially one of the most harmful ones, where the online and offline worlds come together in a very sad way. But really, to be honest, we don't actually know what the challenges are. We've got some ideas, and we'll be sharing that data with you. But there is a terrible, one of the worst afflictions to parents in this age is the "not my kid" syndrome. It's not my kid that has a problem with cyberbullying. It's not my kid that looks at pornography. No, my kid would never do drugs or alcohol. No, my kid would never be so silly to share their password or to contact someone online. And that is why it's great to have data that you can go back to your parents and say, guys, did you know that this many % of our students have a problem with cyberbullying? So let's jump into some of that data and wrap our heads around what's going on in our schools so that we can transition through to the solutions and then the opportunity at hand. So a little bit of context in the sample size is that we sampled about 200 students in the collection of this data. And we got very high quality data because we didn't send them a cold survey to complete where they were disinterested. I was in the school or in the Zoom room with them, talking to them about my own personal struggles, sharing my challenges of overcoming device use, so depression, anxiety, mental well-being challenges. And from that place of rapport, we then asked them, now we need your help to help others. And so we really regard this data as quite credible. A similar study, which we'll link at the end of this, was done by the Center for Justice and Crime Prevention, and they sampled 900 students. So, we're not orders of magnitude away from the NGOs that have a lot more funding and scope to do this work. And our data is growing every time we work with the school to help the school understand their data. And you'll notice here that as we go through the data, 84% of children have phones or tablets by age 12. And 66% of them have social media by age 12. And I'll return to this under 13 age group in a moment, because it is significant to the solution that we are exploring with FEDSAS. In combination with that, when you look that 69% have no parental limits on devices, this really means that children are figuring this out by themselves. And if you think about leaving your child in a public park for them to figure out who's safe and not safe, it's a very strange idea. And yet parents and teachers who are parents themselves, we are doing this every single day. So it's definitely an area of concern, and it's something that we can do something about. With cyberbullying, if we don't understand the problem, we can't do anything about it. And when we do understand the problem, the solutions are much clearer, much more practical, and more specific to your specific issue in your school community. So for example, here with cyberbullying, we found that 57% of cyberbullying happens late at night, and 62% happens on Instagram, TikTok, and WhatsApp. And as we know, those 3 platforms are not meant for under 12s or even under 13s. And then if we take into context that 84% of these children are sleeping with their devices in their bedrooms, then a very clear guideline to our parents would be, well, make sure that your children don't have their devices in their rooms at night, because that's when the cyberbullying vultures are swooping in and doing all of the damage. Another thing we have to understand about cyberbullying is that it is really our generation that talks about online bullying. To the current generation, it's just bullying. They don't really have this big distinction between offline and online. So when we know what's going on in our schools, we can give very clear instructions to our students. And very often the students themselves, when I share this data with them, it's empowering because they're not the only ones experiencing this. We generally find that more than double the amount of students in the school have been cyberbullied than admit to cyberbullying others. So we say to them, well, listen, the victims, there's twice as many of you guys. So if you all just support each other, you'll outpower the cyberbullies 2-to-1. So it's very powerful to have this kind of data. When we start to look at pornography, self-harm, drugs and alcohol, you know, I used to start my school talks with my shocking statistic that I first saw pornography at age 9. And unfortunately, we are now seeing that approximately 20% of the students that we survey have seen pornography by age 9. So these numbers are rising year on year, and we need to be doing something more about it. You know, if we look at the statistics here, 57% have seen pornography by age 12. And I'm going to slow down for these ones because they're hard hitting. And remember, we're going to be moving to solutions. So we're not going to leave ourselves in the pit here. We're going to come out together. 52% have thought seriously about hurting themselves by age 15. 36% have used drugs and alcohol by age 15. Now, when the first digital wellness and digital safety agencies really started educating parents, they were really concerned about how much screen time. It was all about how much, and we've started the poll this today with how much. And what we're finding in this kind of next progression of digital safety online is that how much is less important than of what. And as we understand and know that children, their behavior is from modeling. They watch the adults around them and they model their behavior on those adults. We have to understand that media is modeling. If your child in your class or your home is starting to use language that you don't identify with or behave in ways that you don't identify with, they've learned it somewhere, and chances are they've learned it online. So we have to understand that we can spend all day educating them about their academics and how to interact with other parents and adults and how to be respectful. But if they're spending 2 hours at night combing through the internet, watching age inappropriate content or even pornography, which is violent and has no concept of consent, that's where we start to see this behavior really impacting children. If we move along to stranger contact, the fourth area of concern that we're going to cover today, keeping in mind that before I read the stats on the screen, remember that 69% of those students surveyed have no parental limits, and then 82% of them have their devices, they have access to those devices at night. So they have contact with an unregulated world. And 82% of them have been contacted by a stranger online. We don't know what that means. Is it another child from a different school? Is it someone in a WhatsApp group that they haven't added to their contact list? But the point is they don't know either. And in that unknowing, in that lack of awareness, that is where problems arise. There are no digital fences around our children's digital playgrounds. We think that just because it is available in the App Store, that it has passed some stringent safety regulation, and the truth is that it is not. Again, we look here, 64% of stranger contact is via social media. So once again, these are children that are using social media platforms that are not designed for them. And unfortunately, we're in a perfect storm where parents are brought up to think that real life is dangerous. Riaan spoke about how South Africans know how to program a security pad before we know how to make a phone call. We know how to check the locks on the door and make sure all the windows are closed. But online is just as real, and we need to start really helping our parents understand that. So what we do now is the start of the conversation. These statistics are the start of the conversation. It's not the end. And that's why we are just a few moments in, maybe 10 moments into this talk, and we still have a lot more to talk about because we're going to go into some solutions and the opportunities that are available. And it's important that we keep this in mind, to understand that there is something that we can do. There is something that we can do as schools in our little ecosystem that we have control and influence over, and there are things that we can do as a nation, and even for children that are overseas who may benefit from the fundraiser I'm going to speak about in a moment. But firstly, we need to ask more questions. As educators, as parents, we need to ask more open-ended questions to our students, to our children. We don't need to ask them, how was your day? Because that's a simple answer. It was good, bad, fine, meh. We need to ask them open-ended questions. What's happening in your friends group? What's the craziest thing you've seen online? What is everyone talking about these days? To give our children and our students space to speak about what's going on in their lives. You know, if I think of teachers when I was a student, and I think of the teachers here today, if I say, think of a student you have the best relationship with, there's one or two students that come to mind. Now, what would your awareness be like if you took them aside at an appropriate moment and you said, I really need to know what's going on with our class. How's everyone doing online? It's a place I don't know anything about. I need you to teach me. That's also a really great question to ask our children. Can you teach me about Instagram? Can you teach me about WhatsApp and what's happening there? Children love to teach. They love to be in the authority, as you know. So ask them questions. When you know those answers, we need to activate parents to get involved. And this is really one of the most important aspects that schools can defend themselves from. There was one study that showed that up to 11 school days are lost per year because of digital drama that teachers have to mop up before they can teach maths and history and science. So we need to help our parents understand that schools are here to educate and to guide students. This logo at the bottom of the screen here, Common Sense Education. When you get the slide deck, that's a live link. If you click on there, they have an absolutely free online safety curriculum from grade 0 all the way to grade 12 with lesson plans, with videos, all the things that you need to educate and guide. But remember, when it comes to parents, they are there to monitor and manage. It is not the school's job to monitor what children are doing late at night and to manage their device use. And if you can help your parents understand their responsibility, you're going to have more time to do what you are mandated to do, which is to educate and to guide those kids while they are under your care. So I look forward to finding out more about how you guys can use Common Sense Education. I hope to have a really open door with everyone that needs some assistance on helping you find out about the data in your school. But Common Sense Education is a fantastic, practical way to get started. And remember, as Riaan said, technology is not all bad. It is amazing that I can sit here in my room and bring you this information, and that students have got more career options than ever before. But it's essential that we cross the digital divide. So there's this digital divide, this gap between students and teachers, between children and parents. And it's through relationships and open questions that we can cross that divide. Okay, I'm now going to get into this very interesting opportunity that we have to influence not only our own school environment, but the South African context of learners, as well as the global context of children, whilst doing good in educating students about ethical technology use, promoting this for good cause, creating awareness and starting conversations about online safety, while we help our children learn about artificial intelligence and, on a very practical level, earn funds for our schools, which have all been feeling the strain of the COVID reality. So yes, there is a reward to schools for taking part in this fundraiser, but as we know, none of us got into education for the paycheck. We got into it because of the vocation and the calling to educate and to connect and to protect. And so that will be our primary driver. But it is fantastic that Yoti, the company that we are working with, has made some funds available for the public schools in South Africa. So a little bit about Yoti. They are a UK-based company, and I met some of the representatives from that company when I was in Dubai last year, attending an e-safety summit, where I made a lot of the contacts that we now use in our global partnerships, which is just a fantastic part of technology. And their tagline, Yoti's tagline, is digital identities as a force for good. I met Robin, the CEO of this company, and he already made his bucks in an earlier career. So he started Yoti because he wanted to do good, and it's got ethics baked into it from the ground up. And we've partnered with the FEDSAS Center for Technology, Be in Touch, and Yoti to bring this fundraiser and technological innovation to South Africa. It's important to understand that when it comes to where technology meets people, especially children, ethics and consent have to be paramount. And we're very glad to be working with Yoti and the fact that they are endorsed by Childline UK and In Hope, one of the world's leading anti-child abuse centers, as well as the fact that they've set up various ways in which they make sure that they are ethical. They've got an external ethics board, and they are distinguished in their approach to privacy and security. And so what it is, in fact, that they are doing is they've been asked by various NGOs as well as the UK government to create a solution that will help organizations meet the regulatory requirements to protect children from inappropriate content and the risk of grooming online. So all the challenges that we were speaking about in the first section of this workshop, they've been tasked with finding a solution to this, a technological solution, a scalable solution. And it's not to say that parents don't have their place and schools don't have their place. They do. But as Riaan said, we need to be using technology to empower ourselves. And that means taking advantage of ways in which it can be used to protect us. And the Yoti Age Estimation Technology is the backbone of the solution that they are rolling out. The good news is that this is nothing new. They have done it. It's already being used by Report and Remove, as well as Childline, and a number of other, some very progressive thinking social media platforms, as well as some progressively thinking adult content platforms, whether that's things that under 18s can't get access to, adult material or alcohol sales or vape pens, whatever adults choose to do with themselves. That's not what we're here to talk about, but we are here to talk about keeping children out of those areas. And their algorithm, their technology that they have in place, their age estimation technology, is accurate for 25 years plus people within 2.5 years, and 13 to 25 for with 1.5 years of accuracy. And now they need to train for the under 13 age group. And remember, that was the age group that I was speaking about in our initial statistics. The age group that is hardest hit is the under 13 age group. So we need to have some form of age estimation technology that can be a digital fence for how we protect our children online. So we're going to go back quickly to the challenges. We're going to look at a little bit more about Yoti, and then we're going to look at the challenges that we posed and how this may be a solution to them. So Yoti has 7 pillars of ethics behind everything that they do, and being transparent and accountable, enabling privacy and anonymity, encouraging personal data ownership, keeping data sensitive, keeping communities safe, and acting in the interest of the children and adults that use their services, mean that every decision they make is built with ethics from the ground up. They have every possible certification of ethics and accreditations. Internationally, they are one of the most innovative technology companies that has engaged with the online safety space. And unfortunately, there's no South African body to provide a standard for this, because we're a few years behind the international leaders, but they far outperform anything that we might expect in South Africa. Definitely our standards are high with POPI, and we've made sure that everything that we are promoting today is in line with all legal precedents in South Africa, and you're in safe hands knowing that FEDSAS is behind this as well. So let's look now at some of the challenges that we spoke about initially and how this age estimation technology may be able to help with them. Firstly, device access. Imagine you could have an age limit for the device access. You couldn't open your phone at a certain time if you didn't have a quick facial scan of yourself and an estimation of your age so that you could figure out if this is the right person to be using the device. So even if they snuck out of bed and stole a phone, they still wouldn't be able to open it up. And definitely not as easy as getting around a password that we all talk about way too often and let loose and don't reset. For cyberbullying, we could have age-appropriate apps. We could have spaces in social media platforms that young children couldn't just simply not get access to. We could make sure that certain age groups only speak with other age groups. It could even be implemented in school learning environments, Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, to ensure that children of different ages, just like we have in classrooms, are not interacting outside of supervision. Pornography, self-harm, drugs and alcohol. This could be integrated into parental filters and limits. We could have accurate age gating, which age gating is basically that tick box that says, how old are you to enter this site? And anyone just puts whatever date they want. This would mean that they have to have a facial scan, which age estimates that face. It's nothing to do with identity, and I'll break that down in a moment, to ensure that they are accessing age-appropriate content. With stranger content, exactly the same thing. We can make sure that parents make sure that adults are staying in adult areas and children are staying in children areas. We can make sure that there are filters and limits and age gating of specific child areas online. Okay, so that's a little bit of context. Now we're going to talk about what this campaign is. What is this fundraiser and how can it impact your school, both from an education side, safety side, and as an income stream for your school. It's called the Share to Protect campaign, and it does make us think a little bit, because here we're asking you to assist us in collecting 50,000 photos of children between the ages of 5 and 13 so that we can train this age estimation technology. And you might think, well, we've been told forever to not share photos of children online. Now you're asking us to share photos of children online. That doesn't make sense. But I want you to imagine that you've never heard of blood donation. You know, South Africa has an incredibly strong community sense of blood donation and donating blood and blood banks to support people that need help. But imagine you didn't know any of that context and someone came to you and said, hey, listen, I want you to go into that building and we're going to strap you up to a machine. We're going to take out a liter of your blood. And you say, why? Blood's supposed to stay inside me. Why would I go and do that? And then they would have to explain, well, you see, the blood is going to be stored so that when other people have accidents, that blood can be used to save their lives. And now you go, okay, now I start to understand that, so I can share something of mine, and then that'll help protect someone else over there. And that's a similar metaphor to what we're doing here, is that these photos will be collected and will not be used for anything other than training this age estimation technology. They will also not be held for longer than is required to train the age estimation technology. I'll get a little bit more into what data will be collected with those photos on the next slide. But suffice to say is that it has nothing to do with identity, location, anything like that. It's just to help this estimation technology understand that this child with this date of birth, the year and month, equals these pixels, because basically it breaks the image down into pixels and then is able to age estimate those pixels without knowing who is in the photo. For this service, because we know it is going to take some effort to help our parents understand this need and how them donating a photo can protect children everywhere, there will be a 20 Rand donation to the schools that are able to get that photo submission from their parent community. So that's 20 Rand for every single photo that your school community is able to bring in from the parent body. Now, if we do the maths, that's R1 million for our public schools in South Africa. And that's absolutely fantastic because our schools really need the support right now. So again, it's not the primary reason, but it does help us justify the time and energy it will take. Along with this, we will also be supplying your school if you choose to register. And once you reach 100 photos submitted, we'll be supplying you with a whole bunch of educational materials to teach your children about artificial intelligence, which will include videos that we've created ourselves at Be in Touch, slide decks from Yoti themselves, as well as some other information that will be accessible to them. So a wonderful opportunity to teach them practically about digital safety. So before we say, whoa, 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 let's get clear on what this photo is. It's a headshot only. There are no names or identification, no location or tracking. The photos are only used to train the artificial intelligence to estimate ages, and the photos are deleted after the system is trained. The photos will not be held for longer than 3 years at maximum, and every parent will receive a reference number for their child's photo that they upload, and if they change their mind at any point, they can ask for their child's data to be deleted. So I'm now going to take you through the 5 steps that your school would go through in order to take advantage of this opportunity. And after that, I'm going to talk you through what your parents will practically be asked to do by you. So, number 1, your schools will register with Yoti to be a part of the fundraiser and to be a part of the Share to Protect campaign. Yoti will then send your unique school website URL to you. So you will have a unique website that will have all your data on it of your school, how many photos you've done so far, how much money you've earned, and how your parents can go to that unique link and upload their photo. I'll be sharing more in a few slides about what that looks like for you to understand more. So your school then receives this unique website link and it shares that link with your parent community. It can even be parents of children that have passed through your school or that have new children that are coming into your school. It's your community and you can share it the way that you want to. We will obviously help and we will share all the communication materials that you'll need, whether that's a WhatsApp PDF, an email to go out to parents, a social media post, or even an explainer video so that their parents can understand. We'll also be hosting open discussion sessions where you can bring your questions and find out more about what's going on here, and for parents to attend as well if they need any more information about how they upload their photo. We're going to be there step by step with you. So the parents then use that unique website link to submit the photo of their child to Share to Protect. And then your school is credited with every photo that is shared on that unique link. So as long as the parent clicks on the link that you've shared with them, you will be getting that 20 Rand per photo. We've capped the photo submissions for schools at 1,000 photos per school. So that's 20,000 Rand per school at the moment, to make sure that all of the FEDSAS members have the opportunity to benefit from this wonderful fundraiser. So, number 1, in order to register your school, you simply need to email sharetoprotect@yoti.com. That's as simple as it is. You open your email, your school email, if you have one, hopefully your school email, so it's renette@stpatricks.co.za, so hopefully that email address, and you email sharetoprotect@yoti.com, and in the subject line of that email, you simply put your school name. So whatever your school name goes into the subject, and you send a blank message. You can pop a quick message or a question if you have one, but your school name needs to be in the subject, and you email that to sharetoprotect@yoti.com. What happens then is that we receive that email. We make sure that you are a FEDSAS member, and we will make sure that your school name is correct. And then we will create a unique link to you. Again, when I send you the slide deck, you can click on this link here, and it will take you through to the dashboard so that you can see what it looks like yourselves. And you will have sharetoprotect.yoti.com/St. Patrick's if that's your school. And that is the URL that you will then share with your parent community. You will then share that with the parent community. And as I said, we will supply you with communication material that is specific to your school. So you will get a PDF that has your link in it that you just have to send out via WhatsApp. You'll get a social media post with a caption with your link that you can share online. An email with your link entered into the email and some video to explain how this all works to parents. So we really are trying to make it as easy as possible, because I know all of you have very pressed schedules. Your parents will then receive that link. They will click on the school link and follow a 3-step easy process. Number one, they'll need to prove that they are over 21. So we need to know that they are in fact adults, so that children aren't uploading photos of other children. They need to give consent, and this is essential. You know, Yoti probably could have scraped through the internet for children's photos in school pictures that had been posted online, and, you know, pulled children's photos from all sorts of places, but they are more concerned with consent. They are all about ethics. So you have to give consent and upload your own child's photo. And you can then also provide an optional email, and that email will be responded to with their child's unique reference code for their child's picture, which will then enable them to request a deletion if they would like to. And of course, they'd be encouraged to share them with other parents so that other parents can upload on the same school link. So what are the parents actually going to be doing? So these are actual screenshots from going through the process themselves. The first one is help your school share to protect fundraiser, 3 easy steps. You click continue, then you go to start your age estimation. If you want to know how it works, you can click there to learn a little bit. You click on start your age estimation. And again, this is probably going to be best on a cell phone. We know that most parents are on their cell phones the most, so it's all optimized for cell phones. You need to place your frame in the picture. You take the picture, and then you'll be thanked for providing your age, and you will have proved that you are over 21. They will then say, okay, let's get started. Put in your email address, optional, if you would like to receive a data deletion reference code, and your parents will never get emailed anything else. Those email addresses are not used for anything else and will be deleted when this training process is complete. They then enter the child's month and year of birth and tick the box that says, I'm authorizing the use of the photo of my child, their month and year of birth for research and development purposes. You can read the privacy policy, which is right there, and then click proceed. You have a few guidelines on how to best take a photo of your child. You click take picture, and here is a photo of my little girl. If she was old enough, I would definitely be doing this with her, but she's not. She's just 4 months old. We recently adopted after a long journey of trying to build a family, so we're over the moon that we have little Marley in our lives, but I thought that might be put a smile on someone's face to have her front and center there. But if that was your child, or sorry, your parents, your school parents' children, they would position the camera or have the child do it themselves while they explain why they're doing it, and take that picture. We then have a thank you, which just thanks you for your participation, a share button where you can start to click and share out to people out there. I love technology. I just got a pop-up on my Slack notification from the technical team over in UK. He says you guys are already signing up, so that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, and we look forward to walking this road with you and making sure that we can protect children online together. It really is so exciting. So number 5, you as a school can monitor your school's progress, and you can access these educational materials. You'll have a dashboard on your website where you can check in. How many photos have we got? How much money have we raised as a school? Can we download the videos? Can we make our own content about how artificial intelligence works? But remember, you've got to get your school to 100 photo submissions to unlock the interactive fundraising tracking. And that's a great way to keep reminding your parents about asking them about what's going on in their children's lives. So we're making digital safety something real that we can all take part in. Okay, so next steps before we move into our Q&A. 24 hours from now, you will get a webinar thank you email with the link to this slide deck, which Kate will actually put into the chat box in a moment. So we've got a live slide. You can download it straight away for this slide deck if you want to share it with decision makers in your school. We'll also send you guys a link to the open discussions where you can come and bring your concerns bring your questions and we can help you understand the opportunity that's available and how we can work together on this. The registration email is open, so if you want to start sending, you can. And then once you register, probably towards the end of this week, for those early birds that have already registered, we will send you a welcome pack with your unique website link, all the communication materials that you'll need, and you will be contacted by Be in Touch. That's myself and Kate. And we will send you an email from a Be in Touch email address. So you'll recognize us, that's beintouch.org.za, where we will be confirming your bank details. So we need to make sure that we've got verified bank details for your school so that when the campaign comes to a close on the 30th of July, we can tally up all of the photos that have been submitted and make sure that you get rewarded for your participation. So thank you so much for listening. We hope that you will join us in #ShareToProtect, that you'll join us in keeping children safer online. And remember, you just need to email shareToProtect@yoti.com with your school name as a subject. And we now have some time for a Q&A, and I look forward to taking any questions that the group may have.
Thank you so much, Josh. I can just imagine our members on the other side. We've bombarded them with the POPI Act and the cybersecurity, and now suddenly we ask them to share photos. The bottom line is, we've interrogated this organization and everything that's going to happen. We're so excited that suddenly we're part of the solution. And the composition of our schools and society is ideal to teach technology, to do the facial recognition, to protect our children better. And we can make a bit of money on the side as well. So if you're a parent and you're still not sure how it works, and you go through the process, the very first facial recognition will be yours to do the age estimation. So I think that's a nice thing. And maybe just two things before we get into the questions. And I've seen the questions. Most of the questions are actually about the slides and the presentation, because I know you need to take this to your governing body. And you've heard the timeline is we need to upload before the end of July, end of June. So we're working with a very short time span in this project. But to upload a photo will really, that's not the longest process to follow. So I'm not concerned. The first question deals more, and just it's a South African related question. The POPI Act, the Protection of Personal Information Act, recently new sections came into operation, places an obligation on schools to protect the information. So from a legal perspective, we've interrogated that, and we're comfortable that there's no risk for the school, as you as the school are not going to work with the information.
Yes.
You share the project with your parents, and they, by enrolling, are giving the consent. You know exactly what's the kind of photo that will be uploaded, so you are in charge of the information. Then the moment you submitted the information, then there's an obligation on the organization on the other side to also protect that. Now, we're actually a few paces behind the legislation in the UK regarding the protection of personal information. So Josh and his team are also under the UK's legislation on how to deal then with information they receive and the guarantees. Now, we're not going to ask you to take pictures of your children in their swimwear or costumes. You've seen the kind of photo. I'm a parent of 2 teenagers and 1 tween, and we'll gladly be part of the project because we can see how it will play out. The second important thing is that the permission of the project will be on the governing body. So you need to present the slides and the project as soon as possible to your governing body to register and to get all the information. Like you've heard, 100 is your first goal, and then your limit to 1,000. You can actually pay your FEDSAS member subscription by photos of your learners and ask your parents to take part. So I think that's a very easy way to do fundraising during COVID. And yeah, so I think that's the 2 main things. One is the POPI Act, and we're not really concerned that there will be a violation from the school side if you take part in this project. Number 2, the benefit is a financial benefit, but you get the information and packages that you can use. And number 3, suddenly we're part of the solution to protect our children better online. And I'm really proud to be part of that. Paul, you've kept an eye on the type of questions. I think I've covered most of the questions dealing with Poppy and regarding the slides and when will it be available. And I think that's more or less the questions.
Can I jump in just before Paul? I just
sure,
want
Josh.
to make the schools aware of. So we're coming up for Child Protection Week on the 29th of May. So starting on the 29th of May, we've got 1 week where South Africa will be focused on child protection. So this is a wonderful opportunity for your school to raise awareness about child protection and child safety online. So in that week, 29 May to 5th June, this is really a great opportunity to drive engagement with your learners, with your teachers. And it's not just about the fundraiser. Go and check out Common Sense Media. Start sitting in with your pastoral care or your wellness team and get some of those lesson plans into your school. It's all there for free. It's a wonderful resource. Thanks, Paul.
For sure. For sure. Josh, I thought you're going to say something about all the builders, all the crafters. I mean, we've got clubs in South Africa as well and communities building. So if you go into their website, there's wonderful links for all those Minecrafters or builders. Very, very useful information that the children will really enjoy, especially to the young ones. Paul, have I missed a question? Is it more Poppy related and where to get the slides?
There's a question and Kate's busy responding to Desmond. There's a question. There's another question that's just come in. You mentioned that the information will be transferred overseas. Does this information have a deposition timeline? And what recourse will be when you see your picture used for other things because of security leakage?
So as Jaco has kind of mentioned, the standards by which this company, Yoti, that is working under direct supervision and regulation from the United Kingdom Information Commissioner's Office. So they have been tasked with this ethical concern. So they are at the highest standards. And when you go through the slide deck, have a look at some of the bodies that they've been accredited by. So their data is as secure as data can be. The images themselves are ring-fenced only for this purpose. So there's no chance that they will be used for anything else, and they will be deleted within a maximum of 3 years from the submission date. So there's no ongoing component of what's happening here. And we have to understand that right now, our children are being monitored by algorithms. This is not the only artificial intelligence that is capturing your child's data. Every time they use the phone and there's when they try and make a call and a photo image is taken, that data is going somewhere. I mean, I downloaded my MailChimp contact list and I saw that somehow MailChimp had been collecting the longitude and latitude of my subscribers. I didn't ask for that. I didn't want that. And I had to delete it straight away because that's not what I'm interested in. But we have to understand that companies are doing this already. So if we can create the kind of accountability, and the companies are saying, well, there's no way to know who's underage and who's not underage. So now we can go to them and say, well, there is a way. And it's here, it's for free. We've already done the fundraising to train this thing. It's available. Now you've got no excuse to get it into your system. So these are very valid concerns, and we can definitely address them. We will also send out an FAQ with the frequently asked questions that parents have been coming to us with time and again, as well as various NGOs that we are working with on this project.
Thanks, Josh. We just received a note from Riaan informing us that on Monday at 3 o'clock, there'll be a special information session. So those of you are really interested to say, I'm all in, there's a special session. So we'll let you know about the details where to register, but keep that open. So if you have more questions, if you've worked through the information deck and you've watched the slides again, it's a tight time frame. Remember that Child Protection Week, it's a good week then to launch and then to get everything in. Paul, we've reached the end of our session. We promised to keep it between 45 minutes and an hour, but from our side, we're really excited. So Josh, for you and your team on that side, thank you for sharing this with us. Thank you for approaching the Center for Technology to be part of this project, and that we can work cross-border, cross-culture to really make a difference in the lives of all our children. So I'm excited that we're no longer only complaining and warning. we're actually protecting if we take part in this project. So from our side, we're very proud to be associated with this, and thank you for the way in which we can work together for all our member schools. This is a wonderful opportunity to get great information, to be part of the solution, and then to use the Child Protection Week to raise awareness for online security and bullying. I've learned something. It's no longer cyberbullying, it's just bullying. So Josh, thanks for that. Paul, then back to you. Thank you. Goodbye from my side.
Thanks very much, and thank you for popping in. Riaan, thank you for making your effort. Josh, thanks for bringing us this wonderful project, a wonderful idea. I really just got to echo in closing what Jaco said. Here we can actually make a difference. We can actually get involved and make a difference in the process. We can earn a few bob on the sideline, and maybe not just a few bob, but we can earn money on the sideline as well. But here's actually something that we can start saying, this is actually going to make a difference, because the exasperation out there with regards to this is really high. And now there's an opportunity to make a difference. So thank you very much, Josh and Kate. Thank you, everybody, for your involvement. Ons skiet so 'n bietjie oor die tyd, oor die 45 minute. But thank you very much for your involvement. I'll leave the slide up there as well for a while. I will leave the session open if there are any other questions to throw in, but it will be quiet. You won't hear any noises in the background. And if there are any questions, we can just take them off the platform here, and we'll be able to respond to them. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for your involvement. Cheerio.